Good morning, good people. This is another great day that the Lord has given us. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. Let's start by believing. Father, in the name of Jesus, we seek you. We ask you for your care, protection. Give us your direction and wisdom, even as we share our knowledge and our experiences in this webinar. In Jesus' name, we pray. This day, I want to share on self-care that will pivot you for your career or business growth. Paola Gil Lopez, a professor of psychological and education consultation at Fairfield University, said that self-care is a must as we have an epidemic of anxiety and depression. The practice of taking action to preserve or to improve one's health is what we call self-care. Self-care can also be called, or it means taking steps to tend to your physical and emotional health needs to the best of your ability. The World Health Organization defines self-care in 2019 as anything that you do to take care of yourself so that you can stay physically, emotionally, and spiritually well. The Bible reminds us that love your neighbor as you love yourself, among the second most important and powerful commandments. Therefore, you got to love yourself. Self-care is about loving yourself emotionally, spiritually, physically, and even socially. There are types of self-care. The first type of self-care is what you call emotional self-care. This involves such as self-talk. What kind of information are you giving yourself? What are you telling the inner man or the inner woman? That is very critical because it has a way that it makes you believe in yourself and have the drive to do a difference in every day. Saying no to things that cause you unnecessary stress is also part of emotional self-care. Giving yourself permission to take a pause or even setting weekly coffee date with a dear one, a spouse, those are opportunities of emotional self-care. The second type of self-care is what you call physical self-care. This has something to do with prioritizing on your sleep. It has something to do with adapting an exercise routine. How many hours do you sleep? I know sometimes you work because of the nature of the jobs that we do. We may find as career people, even as business people, even sometimes as students who have gone back to school at an adult age, we may find ourselves working abnormal hours. But it is important at one point or the other to take care of your sleep hours, to ensure that if you have gone for 5, 6 days with very little sleep, then you can make an allowance for you to have some longer hours of sleep. Exercise routine that you choose. And this I would encourage on daily basis, like 3 days in a week. Do your 20 minutes aerobics. For those who are probably beyond the age of 60 plus, if you feel your bones are not strong enough, you can do a brisk walk. And I have seen, and especially around the COVID-19 times, many people taking walks in neighborhoods, joining together. This morning as I was heading out, I saw 2 gentlemen at a roundabout on a super highway around 6:30, 6:40 a.m. in the morning, stretching their bones. And I could tell they had run. So they were doing now the warm down. Physical self-care also means choosing healthy and nourishing foods versus junk. Not always wheat. You may love your mandazi, what you call your kaimati. You may love your cake, but take it with some moderation. The third type of self-care is what you call spiritual self-care. This means attending to religious services. And I'm not preaching religion here. I am a Christian, born again. But I know some of us are Muslims. And I know others, we belong to different faiths. But the critical thing is, how do you feed the inner man? How do you feed your soul? That's what you call spiritual health care, which is very, very important. It also involves meditation, having a moment in the morning of silence and listening to yourself, listening to the conversations running in your mind. And meditation has been practiced, especially even in blue chip and global organizations like Google. As they do a gym for the staff members, they also ensure that they have an opportunity to have what you call, they have rooms where people can go in for meditation. The other way of spiritual self-care is doing acts of kindness, incorporating acts of kindness in your daily life to many people that you may come across. The other day, as I was traveling to work, I found a lady with her daughter who was looking slightly, I think she was disabled. And I said, what can I do? She said, let me just maybe pay or no, give them, pay for their way to town. That is small acts of kindness that make you a human being. So remember, we have spoken about 3 types of self-care, and we are saying self-care is how you take care of your physical, emotional, and social well-being. For those who are joining us now, and we are saying there are 3 types of self-care. We have physical self-care, we have emotional self-care, and we also have spiritual self-care. There are broad categories of self-care. The first category is what you call temporary self-care. Welcome so much, Stella, and the rest of us. Temporary self-care means, for example, taking somebody out for dinner. That is very temporal. It's only for that chance. There's also another category we call enduring self-care. For example, meditation. Research done by psychiatry research has shown that if you do 8 weeks of mindfulness, or what you call meditation, your gray matter, your mind matter changes drastically and positively. In fact, it was shown that the concentration, the levels of concentration in your brain that are involved with learning and memory, if you do 8 weeks of meditation and mindfulness every day, the point in your brain that is involved with concentration for learning and memory improves tremendously. And you find you have emotional stability and you have perspective thinking. What are the examples of self-care, especially for career growth and even for your business growth? Number 1, you can go in for a massage. When was the last time you went for a massage? It can be done monthly, you can do it weekly if you afford it. You can do your pedicure, your manicure. That is self-care. Remember what you have said is that love yourself as you love others. The second way of taking care of yourself or self-care is stepping out of the house sometimes and breathe. Just take a deep breath. Just take a breath, enjoy the environment, the day. The third way of example of self-care, practical example of self-care, because our webinars would like to make them practical. Remember, we want to make them as practical as possible. The third way is make showering an experience. that time you spend in your shower. I remember listening the other day to one of our local comedians who calls himself the president of comedy in Kenya. His name is Eric Omondi, and he's an African icon. And he was saying that when he is doing his bath, that is the time he gets the very best ideas. And I think he's telling us he has invested in a house somewhere in one of the best suburbs in Nairobi called Karen at 160 million shillings, so that he can be able to have an environment that he is able to take care of himself first, to be able to be innovative and creative. Take that moment you spend in the shower. It doesn't matter whether you are in a slum area, but the moment you spend in showering, make use of that moment as an opportunity for reflection and also self-care. The other practical way you can do self-care for your career and business growth is take up yoga. If you can afford it, take up yoga. And sometimes yoga, you just have to look at online videos and practice it in your house, and you find your memory stabilizing, your emotions stabilizing. You can also do nature walk. Yeah, on a weekend, what you call nowadays forest therapy. There is so much therapy that is involved in nature. Why? Because naturally, trees produce carbon dioxide, and trees produce oxygen and they partake carbon dioxide. So generally you'll have a lot of supply of oxygen, and that will be good for you. It will be good for rejuvenating and reinvigorating yourself. Another practical example of self-care for career and business growth is journaling. Journal. Take up journaling, and especially in the morning before you leave the house. And especially we say take up gratitude journaling, right? 5, or even Tony Robbins, one of the well-known experts on personal development and a global icon, says that just write 3 things that you are grateful for every day. Is it your health? Is it your family? Is it that you have 2 legs? Remember a story that was given of a gentleman who used to complain that he never had shoes. He never had money to buy shoes until he woke up one day and came across somebody who would not even have legs. So gratitude, journal, write 3 things that you are grateful every day. And that is a way of also self-care. Another one is eat breakfast. Eat breakfast. Break, remember you're talking about break the fast. And sometimes some people don't eat breakfast because they cannot afford. They eat breakfast because they don't eat breakfast because they don't have the time. It is a good way of starting your day. 3, and the other way you can be able to take care of yourself for career and professional growth, put your phone on airplane mode for like 30 minutes, especially in the evening when you don't need it for work. 30 minutes, so that you are not on your phone trying to look at who has sent me a message. You keep away from it. And that also will be an opportunity for you to relax, to take care of yourself. Remember, this phone brings a lot of flurry of notifications and a lot of flurry of stressors. So put it on an airplane mode. Another practical way of self-care is take a relaxing hobby. Is it football? Is it basketball? Is it tennis? Is it golf for those who can afford it? Be out there. Or is it maybe knitting? I have seen somebody, a lady who said she's very good in knitting, and that's what she uses to relax. Is it beading? Some of them are not very expensive. What are the dangers of not taking care of yourself? Dangers of neglecting self-care. Number 1, depression and anxiety. You wonder why you are permanently depressed. You are permanently feeling anxious. You are permanently feeling as if the world has come to an end or is going to come to an end very soon. That is an indication of lack of self-care. The second way, or the second way you get affected is weight gain. You find you are gaining unnecessary weight and you are not eating so much, or you find you are losing so much weight. I remember the other day listening to Churchill, one of our local, again, leading comedian, who is also very well known. And he was interviewing a gentleman called J.B. Masanduku. He's a son of one of our former icon, creator of a program called Vioja Mahakamani in our country, Kenya. And he was asking the young man, what is happening to your body? You don't have any weight. Of course, some people don't have weight, but ideally when you have unnecessarily large loss of weight, again, that tells you you are not taking care of yourself. Another danger of neglecting self-care is you find you have lack of mental clarity. You keep forgetting stuff. You don't seem to process your day. You don't know where you are going on a daily basis. The fourth way that you find when you neglect your self-care and you find difficulties is difficulties in relationships. Is it a relationship between you and your spouse? Is it a relationship between you and your children? Is it a relationship between you and your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, the people you work with, your customers? Because your mind is lacking clarity. Number two, you find you feeling overwhelmed every day, and therefore that affects your relationships. And remember, we normally say that in business and in career, your network is your net worth. Therefore, if you are not taking care of your network through relationships, then your net worth remains low, low, low. I also want to say another danger of neglecting self-care is the difficulty in trusting others, which is connected to the previous one on relationships. Your trust levels are very low, very, very low. And you find you have to keep asking yourself, am I worth it? Those people are speaking behind my back. And then, of course, I remember one time visiting one of our local media houses. I was a lead assessor. We were doing an assessment on company performance. I was a lead assessor. We were four of us. And I remember seeing on the walls of that media group offices written something: enablers and disablers. Enablers are those things that make people work together. For example, teamwork, trust. Then disablers is distrust, rumor mongering, backbiting, backstabbing. So one of the disablers was distrust. So when you lack self-care, then you stop trusting people. Another danger of neglecting self-care is addiction. You find you are addicted to drugs, addicted to too much alcoholism or alcohol. You can't control yourself. That is an indication of lack of self-care. And lastly, low self-esteem. So what are the benefits of self-care? What is going to happen to you when you take care of yourself? You love yourself first before you love others. Number one, self-care improves your physical health. When you take time in the morning to do some aerobics, to do some morning exercise, you join a gym club, you walk, you run. If you are in an age you can be able to run, you take up a football match around. That will improve your physical health. And when you improve your physical health, many things around you improve. The second benefit of self-care is self-care reduces stress and anxiety. You have done your daily gratitude journal. Write 3 things that you are grateful for: your health, your relationships, your brother, your mother. your husband, your wife, your children. You have a roof over your head, you have a meal. Those 3 things or 4 things, 5 things, 10 things, if you write them on daily basis, there is a way it changes your brain configuration and thinking, and you start appreciating the little that you have. A story is given of a small town in Alabama in the US called Enterprise Town. Farmers in Alabama, that particular town, Enterprise, were known to be growers of cotton, famous for cotton. But one time, just before 1919, that town was hit by a boll weevil from Mexico. Alabama borders Mexico. And it devastated the whole crop of cotton for 2 years. And it started spreading to other states. But immediately the farmers of Enterprise Town rethought. And one of the farmers discovered and encouraged that peanut was not being eaten by the boll weevil, what you call groundnuts. So they started planting groundnuts. They started planting peanuts. And within no time, the income and the economy of that county, that town, was completely changed. And they had money in their pockets, they had money in their banks, and they could be able to do so many things. As a way of appreciation, they did a statue in the town of Enterprise of a lady holding the boll weevil, and it still stands there, a very huge statue, as a way of saying, were it not for the boll weevil, we will still be poor people. The boll weevil made us rich. So sometimes there will come things your way that are negative for the benefit of career and business growth that are going to make you more better. And they appreciate the boll weevil. In fact, Alabama is known to be the second largest producer of peanuts in the US, the second largest state. I mean, the second largest producer of peanut in the US when you look at all the other states. The other benefit of self-care is that self-care boosts your self-esteem, your self-belief, who you are. You feel you are able, you are capable, you can do it. And you go out with a zeal to get it. Self-care also protects your mental health so that you are able to know that you don't that issue of stress, depression, going into even suicidal thoughts. When you take care of yourself first, then you are able to overcome that. As I come to a conclusion, self-care can also lead to better relationships. That one we can agree. Finally, notice, be enough for yourself first. The rest of the world can wait. Remember, Lala Della said, self-care is how you take your power back. So today, go out and take your power back by taking care of yourself. I wish you guys a good day. May the Lord bless you. We are going to meet in the next session.